How you doing? Hey, I wanted to talk a little bit about homelessness and how it's such a major problem. Man, it's coast to coast. It's in virtually every city. I don't care if it's a red or blue state or city. It's everywhere. And you know, it's there's more to it than just people not wanting to work and wanting to be homeless. When you see tents on every fucking sidewalk and it's just everywhere. There's more to it than that, than people just being lazy. That's not it at all. I don't see it like that. And also people's attitude towards the homeless people. I hear a lot of really calloused remarks and just really vilifying these people as though this was completely their decision. They've always wanted to do this. This is what they want to do. And I just don't buy that, man. I think they end up there, Um, why would they choose that? I mean, think back like in high school when you have your goal setting, whatever curriculum it was, and what do you want to be in life? You want to be a doctor, a lawyer, a nurse, construction worker, whatever. I don't remember being homeless and strung out on drugs as being a line item. Bullshit. It's not a choice. They end up there. I just firmly believe that. And, why? Because it's so hard to make it out there, to play this game and to try and play it. I think sometimes it's just easier to quit and not play at all. And by doing that, I mean, they lose their job, they lose their apartment, and there's just not a lot of resources. Our social safety nets are minimal at best. And I think these people slip into a whole different culture where it makes sense to me that they end up on drugs oftentimes because that's part of that culture, right? And they just end up there. And I can imagine a lot of them are going, what the fuck? What happened to me? I had a life, what happened? I just think that's really a possibility. And because everyone has a story, and everybody's story is different. I have a story. Things happen. A lot of them were probably somewhat predisposed to this if they had an abusive or really tough upbringing, of course, there's a lot of different scenarios. But I think there's a large number of these people, it's just an economic issue where it's just so hard to make it. They just end up there. Once you end up there, it's tough to get out, especially when there's not a lot of programs to help. And, it just kind of takes on a life of its own. And a lot of people are susceptible to it because, we're all born with different gifts. It's kind of a genetic lottery. Some people are really gifted, mentally. They're really bright and smart and creative. They can do things other people are born, with physical gifts and can be great athletes. But we're all born different. And, we're to the point now where if you're not somewhat lucky, or if you have limitations to what you can do mentally and physically, well, you run the risk of just living a life of suffering. That's where we're at now because you can't get a regular job. It's just not enough money in it to make ends meet. A living wage is getting harder and harder to come by. And, how do we fix it? What are solutions? Well, I have some ideas. Maybe I'll do a follow-up video of some ideas. They're big and bold and they're not easy, but at least it's some ideas that I have. But really my main point was, next time you see one of these poor people, I've learned to have a little more empathy towards them, because, we're not all that immune from it either, Shit happens, and it can happen to you. And so, I just don't take things for granted anymore. And, I just have a little more empathy towards them and just wanted to point out that I don't think this was their career path. This wasn't a choice. This is life happening to them. So anyway, Tell me what you think, and thanks for watching. I'll talk to you soon.